All right, welcome, and thanks for coming out today. Today we're finally going to talk about that Facebook phone. Or more accurately, we're going to talk about how you can turn your Android phone into a great, simple social device. You're going to be able to transform your Android phone into a great social phone. Now, at Facebook, our mission is to give people the power to share and make the world more open and connected. And we talk about these two words a lot, open and connected. Open means having access to information and being able to learn about the world around you. Connected means having access to people and being able to reach out to and know what's going on with anyone who you care about. These two concepts are a lot of what makes us human. And because of that, it's no surprise that we all spend so much time using social tools. As a matter of fact, on average, we all spend about 20% of our time in phones on Facebook. And if you add an Instagram, that's more than 25%. And if you count all of the social and communication apps, it's even more. So no other category of activity even comes close. We spend our lives sharing and connecting. So we asked ourselves, if we're all spending so much time on our phones interacting with people, then how can we make this easier? What would it look like if instead of our phones being designed around apps first and then just being able to have some interactions with people inside of those apps, if we flipped that around and made it so that our phones were designed around people first and then you could also interact with apps when you wanted to? What would it feel like if our phones were designed around people, not apps? Well, it would feel really different. Computers have been designed around apps and tasks for more than 30 years, with a modern UI dating back to Windows 1.0 in the early 80s. Computers used to be these expensive and clunky and not very fun to use devices. So you'd really only ever use one when you had a task that you wanted to perform. You'd open it up and you'd double click on the icon that you wanted to use and you'd go in and perform your task and close it down, and that was basically your workflow. And now, fast forward 30 years later, and even though the devices that we're using are a lot nicer now, the UI model is actually largely the same. Now, there's a place for this. A lot of the time, we do need to do tasks, and this is a great model for that. But now, there's a new use case that is becoming more and more important. We have our phones with us all the time, and more, we just want to know what's going on with the people around us. How often have you had this happen to you where you're basically a few minutes in between meetings, or you're standing in line at the store and you want to know what's going on, so you pull out your phone to see which of your apps have that little red dot on them, and to see what content is going on. Now that isn't performing a task. That's just wanting to stay connected and know what's going on in your world. That's being human. So, and why do we need to go into all those apps in the first place in order to see what's going on with the people we care about? That's because today, our phones are designed around apps and not people. So we want to flip that around. We want to bring all this content to the front and make it so that you can also just go ahead and use whatever apps you need whenever you need them. Now, the thing is, we've actually seen this pattern before. Before we had Newsfeed on Facebook, we all navigated through a homepage that was just a list of apps. So if you wanted to see Friends updates, you clicked on Friends. If you wanted to see photos, you clicked on Photos. If you wanted to see messages, you clicked on Messages. And then we got Newsfeed, and this changed the way that we interacted with all of these services. It made it so that instead of just being a list of apps, Home was now all of this fresh content. And it made Home feel like a home. It brought it to life. It gave it this soul. And we all realized that this was a much better way for us to consume content, and as a result, we all started consuming a lot more, about twice as much, nearly overnight. So now we want to bring this experience of having a home, of always knowing what's going on around you, right to your phone. And we want to deliver this experience to as many people as possible. So we don't want to build some kind of phone or operating system that only some people are going to be able to use. Right? A great phone might sell 10 or 20 million units at best. And our community has more than 1 billion people in it. So even if we did a really, really good job building a phone, we'd still only be serving 1 or 2% of the people in our community. And we want to do more than that. We want to build the best experience for every person on every phone. Now, at the same time, Facebook also isn't just a lightweight app that's running everywhere. On average, we all spend more than 3 times as much time with Facebook as any other app that's out there. So more than 3 times as much. And it's also a platform too, with more than half of the top grossing apps in the App Store plugged in and connected to Facebook. So we're not building a phone, and we're not building an operating system, but we're also building something that's a whole lot deeper than just an ordinary app. So how does this work? Well, today we're going to focus on Android. And the great thing about Android is that it's so open. And by that, what I mean is that it was designed carefully so that you can improve almost any part of the system. You can have apps that handle your SMSs, that can dial and receive phone calls for you, that can be your system camera, that can be your keyboard, or can even be the home screen of your phone. You don't need to fork Android to do this. You don't even need to modify the operating system, really. Android was designed from the ground up to support these kind of deep integrations. And because of Google's commitment to openness, you can have experiences on Android that you can't have on most other platforms. All right, let's pause this for a moment. Now, with Home, you see your world through people, not apps. One of the most important things that we do as people is stay connected with what's going on in the world around us. So Home is designed specifically to help you do this. So let's say you're waiting in line at the grocery store and you look down and you see these beautiful immersive updates of your friend finishing a bike race or your family cooking a meal together or news from your favorite sports team. You might have missed these otherwise if you had to go into an app to see them. But with Home, they're brought right in front of you. Since Home is the lock screen in addition to the home screen, you don't need to do any swipes or gestures in order to be able to see this content. And it's all right there as soon as you look at your phone, because you've already loaded all this content in the background while your phone was sleeping. So you can flip through stories if you want, and if you find something that you like, you can double tap to like it right there. You can comment right there from the home screen. And one of the things that you're going to notice is that all of the interactions are just really smooth and natural. You know, we wanted this to feel like system software and not just an app that you run. And we feel like there's a higher quality bar for that. So we spent a lot of time building up infrastructure and tooling in order to make this the highest quality experience that you're going to have on Android. Now, some updates are more important than others. And Cover Feed is great for being able to stay on top of what's going on with all the people you care about. But sometimes there's a more important message and you want to get notified. And if your phone is designed around people, not apps, then your notifications should be too. So let's say I get a message from my friend. I'm going to get a notification with her face and her name instead of an app's icon and the app's name. So I'm easily going to be able to tell if this is a person who I want to interact with now. And if I do, then I can just tap on it to pull her up and interact with her. Or if not, I could just swipe away to throw her away for now. And let's say there's a bunch of people who are interacting with me and I don't want to deal with this right now. I can just press on it to grab them all and throw them away if I want. But a lot of the time you want to get back to your notifications later. So you can also just dock them, throw them down, and continue just browsing your cover feed. So that's putting people first in your phone. But apps are really important too. So we wanted to design Home so that it's just as easy to get to your apps using Home as with any other phone that you'll use. It's just one swipe away from the home screen or lock screen. So you pull up your lock screen, and with one swipe you can bring up your app. So let's say that you want to get directions to a restaurant that you're going to go to. What you do is you put your finger on your face there at the bottom, and these options pop out for apps, Messenger, and the last app that you were in. You just swipe up, and there are your apps right there. Just one swipe away. All your apps, and the launcher has pages and everything else that you'd expect. So you can go and you can tap on Maps to get your directions. Then when you're done, you just throw it away, and you're back to Cover Feed and your friend's content. So that makes it really easy to get to all of your apps. But there's one in particular that we wanted to make even easier: messaging. Phones are communication devices, and we spend all day long messaging. But in today's app-centric world, messaging is treated like just another app. So that means that all day long when you're messaging, you're constantly switching back and forth between apps, and that can be annoying. And we think that it should be better. You know, we all want to talk to people, not apps. So we came up with this idea that we call chat heads. And the idea is really simple. So let's say a friend messages you. In this case, it's going to be Shrep. He'll pop up, and it's going well. And you can just tap on his face and bring up his conversation, and without losing any context of what you're doing in the app behind. And this can stay there in any app that you're in. So let's say you're playing a game, and you want to tell your friend about it. Now that's easy. If you're looking at a photo and you want to reach out to someone immediately, now you can do that, no problem. Chat heads give you this immediate personal connection to the people you care about. So now let's say another message comes in. This time it's going to be from Cheryl. Now you get two, and you can easily switch between them. You can close them, and they collapse into this nice little pile on the side of the screen, so they're not taking up much room. You can move them around to find the right place where you want them to be. That's a lot of fun. And then the most fun of all, when you're done with them, you just throw them away at the bottom. Bam. All right. Now, chat heads work with both your Facebook messages and your SMSs on your Android phone. So we think that chat heads are this great personal way to do messaging. Now, I just blew through a lot of stuff. So there's a lot of detail in each of the things that we went through, and we want to go through it in some more detail. So in order to do that, I'd like to hand it off to Adam Masseri to take us through this some more. Adam?